I bring to you my first time reaction and analysis of TesseracT Legion. Sean so kindly and generously has sponsored this stream. And Sean is here, by the way, so we can give him lots of love for being so nice to us. His voice, they slightly buried it a little bit in the mix, so all you get is the effect. There's a lot of reverb on his voice and all of these big notes and the huge ranges that he's jumping. It's all kind of swelling in together. I just feel like it's gonna open up at some point. This is 5 minutes of a song that has come in very, very, very hot quickly in terms of the vocal techniques. He's gone all over the place. We've already had distortion, we've had belting, we've had super high notes. So maybe they've managed that and they've sort of tried to pace this journey out by sitting his voice low at the beginning, and then we'll sort of unwrap it as we go along. There's some really interesting musical components. There was like a few mixed meter situations in there, which is just a way of saying when the time signature changes. Yeah. So it's just a sign, you know, that these people pay attention to detail, because it's so much easier just to make a song in one time signature, you know what I mean? But not these guys. TesseracT with a big T at the end. Sometimes when it gives the effect that it's mixed meter, it isn't. One bar borrows a beat from another bar and then they make it up. Like we get taken out of the rhythm, but we don't actually move anywhere specific. It just gives that effect because the drummer puts different emphasis on different beats. Do you notice how the chord changes underneath that long note that he held on? Whenever that happens, I get so excited. It is just so exciting. You feel like you've gone somewhere, but you've stayed in the same place at the same time. Nice. You can still hear his voice carrying. That's a really long delay. It's a very wet reverb. The pitch bends down. Still there. Cool! Woo! Oof, very nice. don't often hear a song that could most certainly be characterized as rock, progressive, metal, whatever subgenre out of progressive, that can have so many build and release in such a short amount of time. We hear it in Sleep Token. That happens to be a band that I'm just familiar with because of you as well. But if you could draw this music as an object right now, it would go like that and then down. And then like that, and then down, in so many ways. Once we got that big build, his voice sort of crept up melodically. It just seemed to get higher and higher and higher. And then he did a bunch of screamy stuff. That was like the peak of the build, and then it was dropped back down into piano. And it's just remarkable that you can do that in 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Usually progressive pieces are so much longer because they have to have substantial time to take people on an interesting journey. This obviously doesn't need that. The drummer is absolutely outstanding, distractingly good. You know, it's a good sign when the drummer distracts someone that is actually focusing on vocals. Yeah, it's a harmonic and rhythmic adventure for sure, and his voice is just sort of the captain of that adventure. This is super fabulous, isn't it? It's very Muse. It's to do with vocal fold closure. When I say closure, right, they're not completely closed all the time, because that would be so the reason we make these lovely pitches that we all make is because they do this in waves. When we have a breathy sounding voice, they don't actually close all the way to chop the voice up. They spend more time open than shut. It would be the difference between like ooh. In order to zip up that vocal fold closure to the end of that phrase, he's changed the position slightly in his voice by changing the vowel. It's subtle. It is an ooh, but it's a weird ooh. It doesn't look like an ooh, but it's an ooh inside. It's the shape of the vocal tract. So it's part of the ooh family. And then when he goes into the vibrato, he starts to modulate or transition that vowel sound into a yeah. Kind of. And that vowel is encouraging that closer connection in the vocal folds as well. Ooh. That was beautiful. Let's have a look at the lyrics and figure out what he's saying and how he's saying it. E.g., it's time for vocal analysis. Not e.g. It should have been like, and so it's time for vocal analysis. Right, what am I doing? Okay. Whoa. Ho, 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 ho. They wrote the lyrics like that, do you think? They've put this like really odd spacing in the lyrics. I've never seen that before. It does seem like it's something about leaving the world, potentially, in a world designed for you and me, holding on to echelons. Lead me home from the only world I've ever known. Okay, so he's emigrating planets. That's what I'm getting from that, from those lyrics. There is so much to say, obviously, because he did like every single vocal technique known to a vocal coach. But to address the prediction that I made in the beginning, I just feel like it's gonna open up at some point. They didn't really open the mix up later on. His voice stayed nice and comfy in there the whole time. But now I realize why. How on earth do you mix a voice that has like 10 genres and styles of singing in it? The difference in volume between the and like a full-on belt and scream and growl and like everything else, that's going to be extremely difficult to mix. So they've kept it all nice and squishy and compressed and low in volume, so we don't get any particular ear peaks. Obviously I would want to hear more of his voice because it's so incredible, but I get for the musical experience it was a really good idea to keep his voice low. By changing the vowel from to who, we get a little breath boost. Breath boost can make sure that we cleanly transition between registers, because it isn't like a yodel. It's you actually get to open your vocal folds for a second with the who to then reclose them in a different thickness. So when we're doing the vocal folds are very thick, and then when we're doing they're very thin and long. Just by making it a who sound, that already does that for you. Because it sounds really good and cohesive, it doesn't sound like a strategy, but it is. And then every time he goes for a new note, he does another who onset in this section. We haven't got to worry about him not having enough breath, about the voice cracking, because he gets a renewed power every time that he does that extra whoo onset. That one was a little bit of a wider vowel as he started to actually transition into the other mode 3, the head voice, or whatever you want to call it, cricothyroid dominant voice, mode 2. There is another mode beyond that. It's the difference between like and you need a wider vowel for it, and just a teeny weeny bambini portion of your vocal folds actually close. So if we hear like whistle notes or anything like that, they're usually in that wide vowel. And so in his range, he's starting to enter that part of his voice where he knows that he's only going to want to close a tiny little bit of his folds, he's sort of changing register again. So it's to get that tight mini connection so he can take the notes higher.